Obviously, the last 2 episodes took a pretty dark and strange turn into the horrible land of independent film distribution. We heard from so many of you after those episodes, people like throwing up or crying or having like really intense existential despair about what we're doing. And it's really interesting coincidence that last week during all of this, that New York Times article came out where the New York Times interviewed all these famous directors and actresses from inside Hollywood who were all like, we don't know what's working anymore. Film is probably over. Like, we can't get people to see movies anymore. I guess, first of all, I'd just like to say that if you look at the cycle of the film industry, this happens every 15 to 20 years. Like, something happens that causes whatever existing model to completely collapse. And everybody says, oh my God, film's over. And then, of course, something new comes along and film isn't over. So I don't think film is over. I think we probably are at the rock bottom of its current cycle. So to set the table to talk about what's happening, let's go in the Wayback Machine to 2007 and 2008 when the DVD market fell out. 50% of film revenue at that point was coming from DVDs, and basically overnight that revenue went away with the advent of streaming and Netflix and all of this. At that point, the studios decided that they had to make films that they could sell in every territory in the world, because suddenly they could not recoup what they used to recoup domestically. They decided to play the international game, for which choice they began getting rewarded by making up to $1 billion per movie, which had never been possible before. But what that meant for the quality of the content was not good things, because you have to make content that makes sense in every country in the world, which means you can't make comedies, really, because comedy is incredibly culturally specific. You can't make dramas, tend to also be pretty culturally specific. Anything that relies too heavily on dialogue doesn't work because dubbing isn't great. So basically, you end up with explosions are great and slipping on a banana peel is funny everywhere, and basically you can't do much else. So they've made this bad for themselves, and now they're complaining that domestic audiences don't want to go see the movies. Yeah, no shit, because they're bad and not smart and boring and the same. There is such an opportunity here for indie film to step in and take the place that Hollywood used to fill of making smart, grown-up original movies. Obviously, distribution is the problem. And really, marketing is the problem, too, because it is harder to get people to leave their houses. If you could sit on your couch and literally never run out of content in your lifetime, why would you leave your house? Here's where the Joyful Vampire Tour of America becomes extremely relevant. Because even though the tour isn't over, even if our digital numbers come back and aren't what we want them to be, the one thing that I can say at this point that is 100% successful is the in-person event-based screenings with the filmmaker present. Those work like gangbusters, and we are onto something. So if we're looking at, okay, what can indie film do that Hollywood cannot? Event-based screenings. The other good news is that we have some data for you, because when people sign up for our email list, which we have them do in the theater every night, they get back a survey from us and Seed and Spark, who we're partnering with. So out of about 2,000 people who have bought tickets so far, 139 people have filled out this survey, which is a reasonable sample size. One of the questions we asked them was, what made you leave your house to come to this screening? What induced you to put on pants and actually come outside into the world and watch a movie? The number one reason was hearing about it from a friend. Not a friend who's in the movie, that was a separate question, but a friend who had either previously seen the movie, was going to the movie that night, from a friend. 46 people from a friend. The next highest answer was knowing somebody from the film at 26 people. The next highest was hearing about it from the venue, so from the theater or venue, at 25 people. Then right below that was from social media. Amazing. Facebook ads. Who knew? At 24 people. And then way below that, 8 people had heard about it from a third-party organization. So when we'd gotten another organization to shout us out on their newsletter or whatever, 5 people said from local press, which is pretty low. That's lower than I thought it would be. 2 said that they were just looking for an event to go to that night and searched in an event calendar and found us. 1 person said from a blog interview that I did. 1 person saw a poster and came. And 1 person said that there was a vampiress outside of the theater who had an extra ticket and pulled them into the theater to come. So this confirms what I suspected, which is that the number one reason that will induce you to leave your house or watch a movie at all is hearing about it from a friend, a personal recommendation. Super interesting. Another question we asked them is, having been to the event, what was your favorite thing about it? Which is useful because presumably you could then reverse engineer that information to get people to come to another event. So the number one reason by far was the Q&A and or getting to meet the filmmakers. So 84 people said that that was their favorite thing. 50 people said the movie itself. And then way, way below either of those reasons, 13 people said talking to other people and meeting new people. 10 people said the ritual or meditation was their favorite thing. And then there were a bunch of miscellaneous answers, which I thought were interesting enough that I'll read them to you. Getting dressed up, blue hair, presumably mine, seeing a film in an alternative venue, 2 people said that, the diversity of the cast, Transformation Station, supporting indie film, everything, the red carpet photos, supporting women in film, and seeing Courage. What's especially interesting about that is that the number one reason is meeting the filmmakers, / cast / whoever. And that is something that the studios are never going to be able to provide on a mass scale, because Chris Pine or Scarlett Johansson does not have time in their lives to go around doing what we're doing, but indie filmmakers do. So as indie filmmakers, it's number one important to look at the depth of the problem, which I think we've all been doing over the last weeks. But then I think it's really important to look at where's the opportunity, what are people longing for, what's the need we can fill. And what I can tell you is that what people are longing for, are starving for around the country, is human interaction, community, and authentic human connection. Those are the things. And so yes, the hurdle to get people out of their houses is higher, but once they are there, they have borderline religious experiences just through that authentic human interaction. So I think the really exciting thing is that whether or not our model specifically is correct, that's the thing that we can now build from. And also it's nice because, I want that too. I'm a storyteller. What the hell is the point other than that, I want to tell a story to you, and then I want you to tell me what it made you feel or think about, or, I want to see that emotion on your face. That's why I'm telling you a story. So I see this as incredibly hopeful and healthy. It feels so much healthier than the old model did to me, creatively and humanly, which probably isn't a word. My baby, just 3 weeks to go. The rain is falling wildly, but the moon is still aglow. And tomorrow there'll be sunshine, and the garden will be green. We'll lay a bed of lilies for you to dream. My baby, just 3 weeks to go. Your mother's singing softly to the music playing low. She feels you from heart to knees. The love for you is as deep as the sea. You have my word, as the earth, as the sun, as the water, as the rock. There is
question there are none. You have my
We're a local Star Trek parent organization.
The Royal Math Corps Navy is the Navy in David Weber's Honor Harrington series of books.
I'm Squirrel Girl.
Okay.
It's a minor Marvel Comics universe character.
Okay.
Hester, protect you, my sister. Hester, please don't let this poor woman's skin be burnt any more badly than it already has been.
Oh, thank you.
Peace be with you.
And also with you.
my baby, just 3 weeks to go.
So I understand that you saved Star Trek. Could you tell us that story?
In short, we found out that it was being canceled. We decided to mount a campaign. We had no templates, so we just kind of made it up as we went along. And this is before social media, so we did it with mail. So we had no way of knowing whether or not we were a success until they made the announcement on the air that they would.
We met playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You did.
At a science fiction club. And the person who told me about the science fiction club was Jack Leshner.
My world is love. My baby, just 3 weeks to go. Your father's preparations for you have found the flow. And your mother, she is resting for a journey to bring you home. And we'll see you when the winds begin to blow. Yeah, we'll see you when the winds begin to blow. Yeah, we'll see you when the winds begin to blow.
If you were in love with, say, an IRS agent, what would you do?
It's very specific.
It's very specific. What would you do to let them know and to make them feel confident that there's nothing that strange about dating a vampire?
So I can answer that question in two ways. Is that first of all, if you're honestly pursuing anybody in a romantic relationship, you should always be completely and totally honest. Consent is key. Aside from that, if you're asking me what I would do as a vampire to convince someone that they love me, adore me, there is something called vampire glamour, and it is something that many vampire writers have theorized on, and many vampires in the community have come to accept as a very real thing. What it is projecting the internal power that you have as a vampire, the way that you're able to kind of manipulate energetic frequencies to create a sensation of bliss and happiness in another person. And so in that regard, if I'm, say, interested in someone, or want to get their attention, or maybe I just need to bum a cigarette, then I'll put that vampire glamour on for a little bit and just, smile, let it kind of fold through, and then see where that goes. I wouldn't recommend that vampires do this in any immoral way to convince people to do anything that they shouldn't be doing. But it is a thing.
Well, like to be in a relationship.
To be in a relationship.
That needs to be a bit more honest.
That needs to be completely honest. Relationships need to be honest. Honesty is the absolute key to success in a relationship. If you're hiding anything, if you're not doing anything that is completely consensual between you and that person, then that's absolutely wrong.